Hello. So in this video, I'm going to be finishing up my plat run
Let's make
in Final
tracks.
Fantasy 15.
Yeah, let's.
This game was okay. I mean, I've done just about everything you can do in the game, and it was okay. It had a couple really cool boss fights, a couple really cool scenes and dungeons, but the combat system for what I was looking for was exceptionally disappointing. You seriously hold circle, or you hold square. I'm playing on PS4. And circle, you hold it and it attacks. And you hold it and it attacks. And then if you hit square, you dodge things or block and then parry. That's it. And it's pretty boring. On top of that, it's arguably broken because if you hit 0 HP, if you just use a potion, you're fine. It doesn't matter, you're fine. And then if you die, you use a Phoenix down and you're fine. So you really can't game over unless if you run out of Phoenix downs. And that kind of takes the excitement out for me, I should say. Yeah, it was not that great of a combat. On top of that, there's a lot of issues with the game control and clunkiness. Cause like, there's times where you'll be in the wilderness and you want to pick up items, and you walk up to it and you hit X and you jump, and you go, oh crud. So you back up a little bit, you look at it again, you press X and you jump. You're like, I don't want to jump. I want to pick up that item. So you have to kind of like wiggle your character around until you can get to it and pick it up. And that's kind of obnoxious, I'm not gonna lie. At first you're like, oh, I can shrug it off, but that little thing is prominent in a lot of ways. If you're fighting a really big monster, your character may or may not hit said monster because it may or may not detect the hitbox. It's ridiculous. Gladi right here, Gladios, his special, the first one, is, I think it's called Tempest. Let's see if we can pull it up. Gear, Gladios, Tempest, yeah. That doesn't hit like half the time. Like, for some reason, it doesn't detect where the enemy is correctly, and he does the attack, and you miss. And it's awful. You find yourself asking, why would you use that ability when Prompto over here with the pistol hits and auto crits more times than not. It's like there's issues with it. I mean, it was fun, but there's definitely issues. And the reason I would say it's not worth the plat run, even though it's not a hard plat, it's not worth it, simply because of the Adamantys fight. Now, if anyone knows kind of like what's going on, if they've read articles or kind of poked around, maybe ask someone, there is a trophy you get for beating a mission that you unlock after you beat the game. You're allowed to re-roam through the land and unlock and do extra dungeons and stuff, and I have done those, mind you. And one of them is the Adamantys, or Adamantois. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. So, historically, it's a giant turtle HP tank. It's kind of been in every single Final Fantasy that I know of, in one form or another. And it's just been a colossal thing. It's not really been a hard thing, it's just been a colossal thing. Well, they brought it back, and it's quite literally a colossal thing. It's huge. To the point where the game breaks. It has so many visual things flying in every direction that your camera actually can't detect what you want to attack. You'll be looking at its head, but it'll pick up the arm behind its head, and if you use your warping skill, it'll actually warp you away from the Adamantys, and you may not even hit anything. On top of that, your character just goes into the Adamantys. It's so big that the game doesn't really know what to do. It's quite frankly broken. It's one of the worst experiences I've had on PS4 so far. I've played only a handful of games, not a lot, mind you, but from what I've seen, that was one of the worst trophy/missions I have played on PS4, and it might be one of the worst trophies I have done so far. The only worse one than that is the final mission on Drakengard 3, oddly enough is a Square game as well, but man, it was an awful experience. You sit there and you hit it, or until period has ended. Chocobo! So you sit there and you hit it, and it has like 4 billion HP, so it literally takes you 45 minutes to an hour to 2 hours, depending on if you're hitting it. Like, Noctis doesn't actually hit it half the time because it doesn't detect what it's hitting because there's so much going on. It's quite literally a broken fight. And I had to do it twice, because the first time I messed up, after I beat it, I went to the car, I flew, and I crash landed, so I had to sit through it all over again. So I beat it twice. The first time, it actually lost audio. All of the characters stopped talking, and the music became very muffled, and all the sound effects went away. And my character kept going into the Adamantes. Like, I kept going into its neck, I kept going into its feet. It was literally broken. Then the second time I did it, I had to restart the game. I reloaded my save file, I loaded it up, ran over to the mission, started the fight, made it all the way through, and a summon happened, and I used the summon, and then audio went away. I lost audio after the summon. Both times, glitches happened, and it was just an awful experience. I ended up getting so bored with it that I loaded up a movie on my phone, and I watched the movie while I mashed triangle, and I every once in a while glanced over to see if I killed it. It was just it was a miserable experience. But enough about that. Other than that, the game was okay. All I have left to do, I believe, is I have to go to the Ascension, use my 360 some points that I've accumulated, and I need to unlock 50 nodes. Hopefully teamwork is where I'm going to get them, because 6 here, 24, 18... I'm trying to get as many as I can, for cheap as possible, because I don't want to run out of points, and I don't want to have to go farm more points. It's just not fun. There we go. Self-mastered. That should be the trophy. Woo! So I got it. Unless if you really, really, really digged and enjoyed the game, I personally wouldn't sit through it if I were you. They may patch it. I'm not 100% sure, because at least with the Adamantes fight, that was the only trophy that was a pain. That was the only one that was ridiculous, and it was because the game was, quite frankly, broken. There's other issues with the game, but they're not related to the trophy, and I might make a movie about it. But that being said, got the trophy, got what I was wanting. Hopefully you got the input you were looking for. Thanks for watching.